This is the magicwordpodcast.com.
Hello, this is Scott Wells for the magicwordpodcast.com. This week's episode is brought to you again by the Friends of the Magic Word. Those are the ones whose financial support help keep this podcast going week after week. And we thank all of you guys so very much for helping us. I say guys and gals, everyone who has been helping. And as we get into this holiday season and the time of gift giving and towards the end of the year when people do make some donations, now would be a good time to think about me being your friend. And I would like to be yours as well. If you could join the Friends of the Magic Word, that way if you can give us a donation or a pledge for a monthly donation of your financial support, that would be great. And that will help us to continue to grow this podcast into the future as well. We have a lot of things planned for next year and would like to bring you along with us. So if you enjoy this podcast, think about just at least buying me, let's say, it's worth a cup of coffee at least a month. My goodness, how much, could a cup of coffee be worth? Just you can float us that, or perhaps if you think more of this, perhaps a good fine glass of scotch or a martini or something perhaps, or more, whatever that you can afford would be great. So I thank you very much. And by the way, if you can't, one of the things you can support us, if you don't have the financial means then right now, if you are using Amazon.com, and who doesn't, we are part of their affiliate program and have been for some time. And I want to remind you to go and click on the link to the Amazon affiliate program. It will take you to your Amazon account where you can purchase what you're normally going to purchase, and we get a few cents from some of those purchases. And so every little bit helps somewhere along the line. And if you can't do that, perhaps you can take a little bit of time to give us a 5-star rating on whatever type of program you use. If you use iTunes or if you use Spotify, there are so many different, Google Play, several different ways in which you can rank and rate us. And if you can give us a 5-star review, that certainly helps, and leave some sort of a good comment as well. We haven't had anything in a while, but I haven't been making an appeal for a while then either. So again, I would ask if you do have the time, please do go over and give us the 5 stars that hopefully we deserve. We hope we enjoy this program. Well, throughout the year, from time to time, as you know, we go to magic conventions, and as I attend these conventions, I like to spend some time also talking with some of the talent that is there, or some of the registrants, and to record an episode or two if possible. And we went to the Magic at the Beach out in Myrtle Beach earlier this year, and it seemed to be a gold mine. There were so many people there I wanted to talk to, and I did, and recorded some things. And one of them I wanted to record was with Bizzaro. And he was there, and he said, sure, let's get together. And as we were talking, I also wanted to talk with Cody Fisher. Now, Cody has been around for a long time here in Austin, and I say here because I reside in the Austin area, and he is not always here. So it's easier to catch him on the road than it is actually in his own hometown, because he is performing more out of town than he is in town. So I rarely get to see him here in town. And anyhow, so both of those gentlemen said, sure, let's chat. And I said, great, let's do it. And they both happened to be there at the same time. And Bizzaro said, well, I've got some time now. And so did Cody, and I said, well, how about we do you first? We will record one with one and then the other. And they said, well, why don't we just both go in at the same time? And I thought, that's fine. But I thought, man, boy, there couldn't be two more disparate type of characters as far as the audiences and the things that you do and with your audiences and also in your acts that are just so different. And your marketing and everything else is so different. But I thought this would be interesting. Again, each one I think would warrant its own full 1-hour episode. But as it happened, this just worked out great. And I was also wanting to talk with Joan DuKore. She was at this convention, and I had asked her if she was going to have some time, and she said sure. And so she was kind of hanging around as well. And so the funny thing was about how that we went to the office there at Charles Box at the Wonders Theater at Myrtle Beach, and while we were in the office recording, towards the end of the conversation, then Joan just happened to come up the steps and open the door, or walk by, and the door was open. So she heard us talking and didn't realize that we were recording. And so she just kind of joined in on the conversation and then realized, oh my goodness, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. And it was like, no problem. Glad that you're here. Join us for the tail end of this. So you kind of get three-fer here on this particular conversation. Again, all three of the individuals different in their own unique ways. So I'm going to present to you here not one, not two, but three fantastic conversations with some great conjurers. So please welcome my guests this week, Bizzaro, Cody Fisher, and Joan DuKore, here on The Magic Word. Today we're going to be giving you not one but two great chats, or two people with great chaps, to talk about some magic, both coming from completely different backgrounds. And so I'm going to begin
over
over
state.
here. But the same state. That's kind of the commonality that we all three have as we kind of go into this. To begin with, I've got a gentleman who lives in the Austin area who does works cruise ships, but particularly does the corporate market. Has been successful, very successful in doing that, as well as putting out some of his own material that is his own creation that some of you may have. You may have seen him earlier this year in Blackpool. He, again, doesn't get out to a lot of conventions because he's too busy actually working and doing things and raising a family and being a magician that's able to put his kids through college. So let me introduce, first of all, here he is, Cody Fisher. Hey there, Cody. How are you?
Hey, Scott. Doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on the program here.
You're welcome. So glad. It's been a long time of actually having to get you together, that I had to come all the way to here in Myrtle Beach, where we're recording the conversation now, although we both live in Austin. And the next guy is coming all the way from Las Vegas, who originally was in Dallas, and I've known him since he was in high school, and we've been long-time friends then as well, and he has certainly made a career for himself in magic and in making escape rooms and things, and being involved in a lot of other consulting activity with other magicians, having his own show, working in Vegas, and again, creating different products for other magicians, as well as himself. Please welcome my guest also, Bizzaro.
Yay me.
Yay Biz. Smap doodle.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Because I remember many years ago, whenever I was asking everybody, like, what is your magic word? It was at that time, people were saying, of course, just abracadabra or whatever, and ask yours, and yours was smap doodle.
Smap-a-doodah, yes.
Smap-a-doodah.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Well, since then, that's not, my magic word question has moved forward. But let me go, first of all, obviously, two different directions over here in which the both of you have been very, very successful in your respective careers and doing things. You, then, Cody, I know a lot of times when I've tried to get hold of you, it's like, well, I'm going to be doing a cruise ship, or I've just gotten back and I've got to repack and do some stuff or whatever. You're just one of the busiest guys that I know who is making a living doing magic all the time. When are you going to be writing a book about all this?
Yeah, when you have time to write a book about all this, Cody.
Yeah.
My magic word is, actually, I don't have a magic word, but my safe word is smap-a-doodle.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
Just so you guys know. People have asked me for a long time, am I going to write a book on stand-up magic, or am I going to write a book on cruise ship magic, or am I going to write a book on corporate magic? And I've thought about it, but it seems like it's been done before. I don't know if it'd be white noise, if people are really interested in it or not. And so who knows? Maybe someday.
Well, obviously, you lecture different things. We were talking about just Blackpool a moment ago, and whenever that you were there, you had great turnout. Did you do two lectures, I think? They were probably both like standing room only. I mean, it was really packed, as I recall, when you were lecturing, and probably sold out of whatever that you brought to sell.
Yeah.
So I'm saying there's a demand for what you have to say.
There's a demand. I think what I'm sort of, I guess, known for, if anything, I don't think I'm known that well among magicians, but if I am known for anything, is probably just, I put out mainly stand-up magic. There's a ton of close-up tricks in the market.
Yeah, the Bill and Lemon, of course, is
and I get super obsessed with different plots, Bill and Lemon, Invisible Deck, and, so I really sort of delve into it. But I think niche market is just sort of putting out stand-up magic. So when I release something, it's not just, hey, here's a trick. It's like, here's the trick, here's the script, here's the laugh points, here's when you're going to get a laugh, here's the staging notes, here's the music cues I use. So those
are important things.
Yeah.
Well, that's because Cody is what we refer to as a worker, a guy who's out there actually making a living doing this, and doesn't have time to come hang out with the rabble, as it were. And I think there's definitely a market for that, of like a book on how to be a worker. Like I think,
but I'm jealous of you guys, though. I'm jealous of you guys. I keep telling my wife I can't wait till I can retire out of magic. She says, why? And I'm like, so I can enjoy magic.
Right.
So I don't get to go to the convention, so that when the rare chances I do get to go and meet and hang out with people, and like this is the second time I've met Bizzaro here in like 10 years, but every time we see each other, it's just like it's just fun.
You left off.
Yeah.
That's the thing I think about magic and good friends like that you just kind of pick up where you left off.
Yeah.
Well, what would be then, whenever that you have created something, same for you, Biz, whenever that you have released a product and it's packaged and you got the instructions and everything, is there something else that you feel like, I can add to this? I want to go back and I want to have version 2.0 or something.
I mean, I think it depends on how quickly you release it. Like, we live in a world now where somebody's like...
Oh, you better do it before someone else.
But a lot of people are like, can get something to market in a week, right?
Yeah.
And I think people who...
Well, you can 3D print, too,
Yeah, exactly. And I think people like the older generation of us who have done this for a living want to work it in so we can actually... We don't want to release it until it actually is what we feel is some form of done. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, it's
commercial,
but
it's done in your mind.
Yeah, done enough. And if there is an update, it has to be a hell of an update, I think, to release a 2.0. But also, can we stop calling it 2.0 because it's not software, people. Anyway, but it's like sometimes something will happen with like Scott Alexander's Velocity, the paintball gun catch, right?
Yeah.
That gun goes out of production, or you have another method now because of stuff. So there are reasons to re-release things, or you find a way better like version of it or method, but usually that's like 10 years down the line. But I think for the most part, like people like us work it in as best we can and then go, okay, off to college with you,
Yeah. And then it's done, and then you can move on to the next project.
Right. And now there will be
you
updates.
really don't forget about it.
Well, there will be updates. People will come up with ideas or something.
Good
like
point.
I released Bill Breaker through Penguin many years ago, and then afterwards somebody was like, can this be done with, euros? Can this be done with British money? And I'm like, nobody ever gave me any to play with. So I got a hold of some, and I basically made an addendum. I said, here's another video to go with it. Or you come up with ideas after the fact and go, hey, here's some stuff that didn't make it on the video. And if you have, especially if it's to a place like Penguin, you can have those little supplemental videos that come along with the download. So it just depends.
Well, and the more you work something, the more extra stuff you're going to come up with. I mean, just... if you work a trick long enough, you're going to come up with little bits of business, extra jokes, extra bits. And a lot of that stuff, it's just, you never come up with it because, a lot of the jokes
come from the audience.
They come from the audience. And so you put something out on the market, you work it for 4 or 5 years, you listen to the audience, you've got 8 or 10 new jokes or bits, and you just take it in a new direction. So,
Well, agreed. And those are plug and play kind of things in which the people who are magicians who want to be full-time will begin by just taking the whole thing and then memorizing the script or whatever, rather than necessarily putting their own personality or whatever, because they say, well, this is going to be for me. And so, that a lot of times magicians who release something may not actually put in all their stuff. It's kind of like chefs who may, in a cookbook, not give all the recipe that makes it their unique thing. In other words,
I give everything.
Adds that additional spice.
And also, because we live in a digital age now, you can also go back and just re-upload
that's a good point.
New versions of videos, and some people won't know it, because they'll have downloaded the original, but you can also put, hey, updated for 2025, go re-download it. And
I've always had the philosophy, though, if I'm going to put something in the market, and you guys tell me this happened to you before, you see, when I put something in the market, it is exactly how I'm performing it now, because people can go to YouTube now and somebody's took a video of your cruise ship act or something, and it's like, and I sell you something on a Thursday, and then you see me do it on a Friday, and it's like, wait, that's not the version he sold me. He gave me the lame version without the 6 extra jokes.
But also a lot of times those people, like the jokes that work for you won't work for those people, right? Like a lot of times you don't want to always put in the jokes and the lines that work for you because it's kind of like when Chris Angel bought a lot of Amazing Jonathan jokes and then tried to do them on stage. Like, well,
didn't work.
He's very much not Amazing Jonathan. That's one of those things where sometimes you got to be careful with that script. Those like we talked about it. We were having a conversation about this earlier about learning from books versus video. And the nice thing about learning from typed up script with no pictures whatsoever is you're forced to interject your own performance style into that. You're not going to pick up bad habits or somebody else's habits from video and stuff like that. Obviously video is easier to learn from, but
you tend to copy the performer a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true, because you're going to be putting more of your own personality into that. It's the same thing like with reading books. You have an image of what the character is going to look like. They describe the character. I remember, for an example, like it was almost yesterday, whenever the first Harry Potter book had been gone to movie, and it was a packed theater. There was a child who was about 10 or 11 sitting next to me, and he was saying before the movie again, he said, I am really not sure I want to watch this because I'll never have the same vision in my mind of what Harry Potter is, of what I see on screen. And so once somebody sees somebody on YouTube or whatever, or they buy your video that's saying, here's how you do it, and then you say, okay, well, I guess that's the way it's supposed to be done because it guarantees laughs and it's going to be working. So, but like you're saying, it didn't work. It worked for Amazing Jonathan, didn't work for Chris.
Right.
So a lot of times that's perfect proof that not every joke and trick is necessarily plug and play.
Well, right, and you have to find your own style for it. Now, that's one of the things that my lecture tomorrow is going to be about. It's like, here's things that you can inject your own personality and script and stuff into. These are just the bones of something to build onto, right? You put your own meat onto the bones. Take that as you will.
Yeah. No, what I was getting at also, when we went back just a minute, then, Cody, to the Bill and Lemon type of a thing, that is a trick in and of itself. Have you added something to that later that you thought, oh, well, I use a different kind of sack now, or a different way of entering the bag, or a different way.
Tell us about your sack, Cody.
Is there something to the prop itself that you have improved?
Yeah, I think over the years I've put about 4 or 5 different versions.
That's my point.
On the market, and but they all have different needs, and they all serve a different purpose for different environments. I think. One I put out, not long ago is more of for large stage. It was a game show kind of thing with a huge game show board, and it came with a customized MP3 track that introduced welcome to Bet Your Bucks. Come on, that sort of whole thing there, and even more recently, just the past 5 or 6 years. With the invention of the citrus gimmick by Nordine. He's a French magician that I had the pleasure of making his acquaintance, and it's this gimmick sort of pip that you can use to seal a lemon with.
I've seen that.
So and so now you can toss the lemon out of there.
That's right.
I've probably imported more of those from France over here than I think anybody, including Murphy.
I think that's where I've seen it, was in your lecture, in fact, because you were selling those things. I thought, that is freaking brilliant.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, thank Nordine. I'm just the guy that brought it over here.
Okay.
So, but
you happen to see it and recognize it. Let me kind of going again in the direction that you were saying, as far as sometimes people will record like on cruise ship and they'll record the lines and whatever. And so what do both of you guys think about, and this happens, of people recording your shows? That has really in the past been a bad thing, but I've seen some magicians who now will say, okay, I want you to record all you want for the first 5 minutes, and then I want you to put away your phones. And then others say you can record and do anything. So what do you guys think about that?
It depends on, well, first off, in Vegas, that's less of a thing. People don't sit there and record start to finish a show in Vegas.
But they'll take pictures and post on Instagram like things are happening in real time.
Yeah, for sure. And that's different.
And you think that's okay?
As long as it's not disruptive. A lot of shows will say, take all the photos you want, don't use a flash, especially when it's like circus performers, because that'll, death, whatever. And so I do know shows like Chris Angel, I don't mean to keep ragging on him, but at one point where they making you lock up your phone in a bag and stuff. So I'm like, that's too far.
Yeah.
That is too damn far. Like, I do know shows like Jubilee, it was a topless show, but it's like if somebody was recording, they had like 10 people keeping around, be like, hey, put that down.
Yeah.
And there's people, if you have a big theater, you can have people do that. I
think fantasy is the same way.
Honestly, I'm a big believer of just the damn show, man. Like, it's fun. Concerts, fine, whatever. You want to ruin you want to pay $50 to not watch the show, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
But for live stage shows, especially late night magic, we hardly ever saw people out there with just their phones up or anything like that. But on cruise ships, I suspect it would happen more.
Well, I mean, and honestly, anytime I'm working topless, I don't like to be recorded.
Not anymore. As you get older,
Is that why this is a vocal thing and not a video thing right now?
You do not want to watch this.
I don't know.
Listen.
You got good-looking abs there, man. Now, Biz, you can use a few more curls.
As you can tell, I'm like the soft side of Velcro under this, so it's fine.
Soft side of Velcro.
Yeah. But also talking about the recording thing also, I think one of the things that I see, I've heard people complain about magicians especially is, once that stuff goes online, it's burned, right? It's like, especially if you upload it yourself, because we were talking about that earlier. But if other people do it, obviously it's hard to control, right? But you got to be careful how much of that goes out. If it's like 1 or 2 people, I think it's fine. If it's like hundreds of people recording, and then it's like, hey, maybe leave some surprise for the people who come see the show.
Yeah,
definitely. And also, I think it's good, and I think it's bad. I mean, there's a handful of effects that the only reason I've released them is because I honestly just wanted to get credit for them. No, I mean, seriously.
Same.
I was doing the book test for years, and it was me. I had no intention of releasing it. It was mine. I always got laughs. It was funny.
For people who don't know it, what's the name of it?
It's really original. It's Cody's Comedy Book Test.
Perfect, yes.
Yeah, it actually has the word book test in the title of it. So, yeah. But no, I worked a convention, and after I worked the convention, I had a guy send me an email, and he said, "Hey, I saw your book test at the convention," and this was not part of a lecture, just part of the evening show. And he said, "Yeah, I was taking extensive notes, and I found a publisher, and I created this book, and I made up a joke book for myself, and." I just, what are you going to do? I was flattered that the guy went through all that damn trouble, but when I was in, about a year later, I was doing some comedy clubs, and I was going through Florida, and I knew I'd be hooking up with my buddy Jeff Kaler, and he'd been wanting me to release it. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be at this club at this time. Come and film me do the book test, and let's just put the thing on the market, because if not, it's just...
Somebody else is going to take it before you release it.
Well, they already took it, so...
Yeah.
But they weren't selling it. They just made it for themselves,
selling it,
right?
Yeah.
I know there's people online, a lot of the amateurs will talk about this online in the forums, will be like, hey, I bought this thing. Now, he didn't buy it, obviously, because he couldn't, but it's like, hey, I'm doing my own version, I'm not selling it, and then half the people are like, yeah, that's fine. The other half of people are like, maybe not.
Yeah.
Now, usually if it's a published thing and you're just making a version that fits who you are, people are fine with it. What that guy did's a little shady. Like, that's not great, but also short of sending some goons to his house. What are you going to do?
No goons were sent.
Yes.
No goons were sent. I wished him well.
Yeah, the worst thing that did happen to me, that Jamie Salinas and I were at a convention one time, and we had put together a tandem lecture on seances and how to market a seance, basically. And we had been working on a book, and we had several chapters already in this, and so we just excerpted what we had already written, saying this will be in a full-fledged book before long. And so about 3 months later, as we were still working on it, kind of back and forth, and Jamie said, we might as well quit writing this. I said, why? He said, because someone else already written it. And I said, you mean our book? I said, yeah. So somebody at the convention actually took our notes, and they fleshed it out using the same words, paragraphs, and everything, and chapter titles, and completed it, and sent a copy then to Jamie and said, hey, thanks for the ideas. This is great. And thinking that it was okay I can't imagine worse plagiarism, and yet it wasn't even apologetic from the standpoint that's like, I hope this was okay, but it's kind of like, thanks for your ideas.
And I'm sorry, I never apologized to Jamie about that. Tell Jamie if you see him, I said I'm sorry. I just, I thought it was
like $10 at least.
I'm just saying that some of these things, obviously go on out there, and then I'm sure I just purchased something from Jeff Hobson, and it's a great trick. And he says at the end of this, you can use all of my jokes and gags you see that are in this video. He said you can use your own, but usually whenever they say say, they teach you the trick and they just show you then the presentation, will say, these are my ideas, come up with your own. In his case, he was saying, feel free to use any and all of these jokes if you want.
Yeah. And that's what I say too.
You're still not going to be Jeff Hobson. It's just like you're not going to be Amazing Jonathan.
Right.
No, but I think what happens is this. I think for the part-time person, nothing wrong with being part-time. I mean, if you go to a convention, they're the people that support magic conventions. So, but for the part-time person that doesn't have the time to work something out on stage, to get all the jokes and have years of practice, these sort of like, hey, here's a routine in a box kind of thing. You say, I think those things are great. What happens, though, what I find, because I've bought some of Hobson stuff before, and
Sure.
But I think a true professional will buy that, and then maybe it starts off like, that's kind of more Hobson, or that's more so-and-so. But I think any true professional that works it enough, you know what your character will and won't say. And so I think it eventually becomes you when you do it.
Well, right. So. That's absolutely true. A real working professional, like Johnny Thompson, from what I've heard, the act he got known for, the way it started, was somebody else's. Like he bought somebody else's act, and slowly over the course of performing it, just changed it and changed
until
it
until it becomes a whole new beast.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think the smart people will do that. I think the smart ones will finally be like, okay, let's take this out, put this in, take this out, put this in. But you get those training wheels kind of, especially if you don't have any of that experience.
Well, if you don't have that, so people have told me, I mean, I'm very, I guess my wife would say anal. I'm very particular about when I write stuff up. I mean, I'm like, here's when the laugh comes. Here's the staging note. You want to be on this side of the stage here, stage left, and here's why. I'm very particular when I write up routines because it took me probably years before I decided to write this up, and I know that most people don't have that kind of time.
Sure.
And so if I can help somebody...
Or knowledge.
Yeah. So if I can help somebody fast forward into a pretty decent routine that they're going to go do at their work function or a church show.
Meeting,
something like that. If I can help them do that, I'm happy to do that. I have a knack
chances are
for
they're
it.
not going to be, they're not in the same market.
We're not competing, stuff like that. No, we're not competing.
Because the people you would be competing against are to either have their own stuff or would have changed it anyway.
Exactly.
That's true. That reminds me also then of Tom Mullica's book, you might recall, that had the actual timestamps. It's like, 1 hour, 10 minutes, and 32 seconds. He will be saying this line.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about that was, yes, you can, copy that line for line, but I think it more importantly showed his pauses and the importance of what he was doing and how long it would take for him to make the move or do whatever he...
Yeah. It's very interesting to break down an act.
Oh, for sure. Well, that's one thing I talk about all the time is how routining is a skill separate from everything else in magic, and it's one of those things that it's really hard to teach. The only way to teach routining is through example, and it's really just like, watch this, and here's why I did this every step of the way. Like, this is this way for this way, this is this way for this way. And it's like, and I think it's one of those things we could have more of in magic, is people breaking down and understanding routining. It's like, here's why we're doing this way. This is in this pocket for this reason. I'm standing over here for this reason, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, there's a difference between doing a trick and then going out and performing a routine. But you got to make it yourself. I remember this was years ago, Scott, when I was at Magic Island, and I don't remember the performer that was on stage at the time, but very good. The layman, they loved the guy. They clapped for him. But I remember the whole time I was watching his act, I didn't know who he was. I'm like, okay, now he's doing Carrie Pollock.
Okay, now that is interesting.
Okay, now he's doing this.
He's doing a dealer's demo.
But it was kind of funny. He was very proficient too. I mean, he knew the lines and the movements.
Terry Seabrook or whomever.
He'd watched it so much.
I love a good cover band.
It was like watching a cover band for Magic, and the audience doesn't know. I mean, I know who these people are, but it felt like to me his personality and character, it kept changing from trick to trick. He was channeling whatever thing he'd watched on a VHS tape or something.
But did it flow? In other words, were there segues, or did it seem kind of like it just jumped?
I mean, at the time when I was watching, I remembered it's like...
I have $4.50.
Yeah, it felt like it jumped from this to this. But I mean, would a lay audience know? Probably not, But it was interesting for me to watch that. And so I became very...
It was kind of like you were popping in different DVDs and watching people play.
It actually was. And so I became sort of really self-conscious about that whenever we were talking about this earlier, Bizzaro. When you watch a DVD, it was so great to have that medium as a learning tool, but you tend to pick up the mannerisms and the dialect or whatever of whoever you're watching. So you got to really,
be very careful.
Yeah.
Be very introspective and know who you are so you don't end up being somebody you're not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think we all started off like that. We all started off with people who we wanted to be like and copy.
Right,
yeah.
that's fine. It's like you should be inspired by those performers. And maybe you do a little bit of stuff like them, but eventually, if you want to be taken seriously and as a professional, you have to move away from that stuff.
Exactly.
And the best way to do that is kind of honesty with yourself, which is very hard for a lot of us, but it's also like in every performance is a chance to learn and fix something or change something, or every performance is a chance to learn. So you do something, you go, oh, hey, let's take this joke out now and we'll put my own in there. Or you just like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing that here. That doesn't work for me, stuff like that. But you have to be very honest with yourself. And a lot of performers don't like being honest with themselves.
That's for sure.
It's hard. It's hard to be honest with yourself. You go to a magic convention, and I remember years ago that this knowing who your character is. I think when we're growing up and getting to magic, we all wanted to be the sexy Lance Burton.
You want to clone someone.
Yeah, but you want to be the cool magician. And I never...
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. Well, not Biz. Biz has never been that. He was always had the eyeball or something. Ever since I've known him, it's like there's nobody weirder than this guy. He would take just the opposite. I wanted to be the cool magician, but it took me a while to realize he embraced his Bizzaro-ness.
No, I was like, I'm
you
not,
eventually did too.
Yeah, I eventually did too. But I mean, I was like, I'm not the cool magician. I'm not the debonair. I'm not smooth. I'm silly. I'm goofy. Occasionally, I do have a speech impediment. It comes through in my act sometimes, and that's who I am. And I think once you find out who you are as a character, and once the audience can pick up on that, and that's what endears them to you, is when they can really feel like,
you have to be likable.
This guy's being yourself. Yeah, that guy's that there's really, but if you come out there, and I've seen acts that are really good, but when they know you're being faked and you have this thing that you're talking
and your voice changes.
Yeah, your voice.
You sound like a magician.
Yeah, you sound like you sound like somebody doing a parody of a magician.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And people can't connect with that.
Yeah.
People want to see somebody they can connect
Something
with.
genuine.
Something genuine. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes
know
that's the
thyself.
hardest thing to yeah.
Well, and I talk about this all the time. You have to be likable on stage, because when people like you, they'll watch you do anything. And this is why Lucy Darling is doing so well right now, because people just want to see her do whatever. They don't care what she's doing as long as they're just in the room to experience her, whatever she's doing.
Yeah.
And the thing I have to remind people is, you don't have to be a nice person to be likable. You can be a likable asshole, because Amazing Jonathan, now he is an extreme example. But like even like Penn and Teller are like, especially in their heyday, were edgy, but people liked them.
Yeah.
And so you just have to be likable in some way. And usually you have to have a little bit of an edge to you, because your friends, the people you hang out with, all have, we're all sitting around, three white guys in a van. We're going to tell each other jokes you probably shouldn't say outside of that van.
Yeah.
But it's like, your friends have those kind of nudge, wink, wink things. And if there's like Matt King's a great example. It's an afternoon show. There's some dick jokes in that show. Right? Like, let's be honest. But they're hidden. And the kids don't get it. The adults are like, hey, right?
Yeah.
So Matt King has this little bit of an edge.
And
so you relate to him on that level. Just be like, hey, he's kind of like us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's relatable.
Yeah, and I've seen performers who are just so squeaky clean that I'm like, this guy's got kids' shoes hidden in his attic. Don't trust him.
Yeah. Going along that line, but in a little bit different direction, what do you think is the new way of learning? In other words, where we had used VHS, and prior to that probably just had to hang out at the magic shop and learn by vicariously through someone who happens to be hanging around.
By somebody who owned a magic
hanging
shop,
around the old Cracker Barrel, so to speak.
Cracker Barrel is a great description of a magic convention. Honky bucket.
Exactly. And of course, they VHS, and then that's no longer, and the DVD, and then now we have digital downloads. What do you think that this is the best way now for people to learn? Of course, I should say TikTok and YouTube and everything. People learn quickly because one thing at a time, and that's evolving. And you're on the edge on a lot of things here.
Well, most social media is an assault to your senses. Like it's a lot of social media stuff is it's the equivalent of somebody running up to your house, ringing your doorbell. You open the door and they go, "Here's how a thumb tip works. Okay, bye." You go, "The hell was that? I didn't want to know that. Why did you show me that?
Interesting. Yeah, good point.
Because there's a difference between exposure and teaching, right? Like guys like Doug Kahn are actually trying to teach, right? Now he's doing it in a quick format, but he's doing it with a reverence, and he's trying
got a paywall too, I think.
Well, yeah, he didn't start that way, but I think he does now.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between teaching and exposure, and so, but there are. I had a conversation with Brian Brushwood about this a number of years ago when he got lambasted for showing
Scam School.
the invisible deck on Scam School.
Yeah.
And I called him up. I say, "Hey, buddy, what you thinking?"
Yeah.
And he said something that I don't 100% disagree with. And he said, I think some of the next great magicians will come from YouTube videos, watching magic on YouTube and stuff. And I go, I can see that because obviously we have all been influenced by the media of our time.
Right.
And I do know magicians who did get into magic through the Secrets Revealed show with Valentino and stuff, the masked magician. Whether or not they're a good performer, that's neither here nor there, but that's how their entry point was. And I started thinking about that. I said, I think where you start is not as important as where you go. If you stay where you started, if you stay in that lane of exposure and that's all you do, that's not great.
Yeah.
But if you get into it and you become a serious student and you elevate from where you were, I think that's a way better path. But that's how it's always been, right? Some people get into it, take it seriously, and then they discover karate or music or some other art form and they fall off or they just get bored with it or whatever. But some of us who are very damaged stay in it for a long time and make it a living. And, this is something I've been talking about for a while now where I say I've started kind of differentiating people where I'm like, this person's a magician and this person is somebody who does magic tricks.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
what I mean by that is, so like I can take photographs. I've taken headshots. I've taken promo photos for people.
Yeah.
I would never call myself a photographer because I've never studied the art of photography, right? I don't buy all the equipment. I don't study it. I never went to school for it. I've written stuff. I've been published. I've never studied writing, so I'm not a writer. So I think people who, what I would call a magician are people who've studied the art and take the craft seriously. They've studied the craft.
Read the books. And,
Right. But magic's a very interesting art form in that your pocketbook dictates your pocketbook dictates your job title. You can go to a magic shop, spend $20, show somebody a magic trick and go, I'm a magician. And they
get your cards made.
Right. And they cannot. No, the lay audience can't refute that point.
Yeah.
But if I go buy ballet shoes and say, I'm a ballet dancer, I'm like, well, show me. Oh, well, now my ankle's broken. So, like, I would say people who study it seriously and are students of it are a magician, and people who pick up chicks at a bar are people who do magic tricks.
Yeah.
So,
well, there are a lot of people, you're right, who are just on the street doing street magic or whatever, and they're showing their friends, and that's fine and dandy too. I mean, there's room in this big house of magic for everybody.
Yep.
Certainly, and there's nothing wrong with that. There are a lot of people who are just doing that and not going any further. I guess it's kind of like, you start at minimum wage, you need to move on up until you get to up the corporate ladder and start getting a salary and more benefits and everything. The minimum wage wasn't meant for you to stay at that minimum wage. You got to move up.
Yeah.
So
no, I definitely think it varies for how serious some people are. And obviously, some people are very serious and you never heard of them, right? There's people who, what was it? Dick Stoner. Dick Stoner was like, he was the king of the trade shows.
Right.
No, unless you knew who Dick Stoner was, nobody knew who Dick Stoner was. And there's people I know who make great livings doing this. You've never heard of, but they take it seriously. It's how many. Again, we talked about this earlier. What percentage of magic do you love? Is it 100%? Is it 50%? Is it 10%? Like your wife? Whatever,
if you're lucky.
Yeah. Well, the leading cause of divorce amongst magicians is magic.
Well, also, going over to something I just touched on earlier when I was introducing you, this as far as the escape rooms go. Now, are you still doing that? And explain a little bit about what you were doing consulting-wise and traveling the country and opening these places.
So escape rooms are basically live-action video games. And what I've been telling people lately, especially in this industry, and it's not just escape rooms, it's immersive theatrical attractions. It's displays, it's cool interactive stuff, it's whatever. I'm making magic I don't have to be in the room for, right? It's like you go to Disneyland and you do something and this thing animates and you're like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Right? That's a magical moment. Whoever made that doesn't need to be there for that to happen. Right. And so
If ever there was a self-working trick, that would be it.
Yes,
I always
yes.
said if there was if magic was self-working, you would just go to a show, you'd set it up, and then you come back and pick up your paycheck.
That's what escape rooms basically are.
Yeah, okay.
It's one giant magic show I'm not there for.
Yeah.
But I still get to hear about people enjoying it. Right? People will be like, I'll see reviews and I'll see people, I'll watch some of the playthroughs and stuff, and people are like, wow, that was so cool. And I'm like, oh, thank God I'm not wasting my time.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things that I love, and it's all the nerdy stuff that I enjoy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Video games, puzzles, magic, all that stuff. And so and that's why I got into it back like 10 years ago, because I get to just create, and it keeps me creatively engaged. I don't like to make the same thing over and over and over again, which is why I love making thousands of color-changing sponge balls. But no, there's people who kick out kits, like room kits, and they make the same. It's kind of like guys who, who license out their like science magic show to other people. It's like they're cranking out the same show. I don't want to do that. I want to make new things all the time, and it's a lot of fun to do that.
Yeah, I think Jason Latimer's doing that kind of thing. It's science stuff. That's right. Where he's kind of putting that stuff out then all the time too. And so that's something that you're kind of doing across the country, and you just go and kind of work with them for a little while, and then come back and.
It's my main. I would say it's my main gig. It's my main focus right now. Yeah. But obviously, I will still make time to come out and hang out with my fellow nerds from time to time when I call when Gondor raises the call, the fires are lit. I will go to their aid. And so, but yeah, the
foam. You're still making the foam kind of things, though, right? I mean, not just the color-changing sponge balls things, but I mean...
not the foam, you mean the foam props like Jonathan had?
Yes.
So that was actually my wife who made those.
Oh, it was?
So she made those for him, and so she
made the foam magic?
She did, yeah.
I didn't know she made the foam magic.
Right, yeah. She didn't know she could either. Because Jonathan said, hey, can you make me a new pumpkin owl? And I said, sure. And I went home and I mentioned it. My wife said, let me try it. I was like, all right. I come home. She is surrounded by foam, just like shredded foam on the ground. And I look, and she's looking on the carpet and looks up and goes, look what I made. And I go, good job. Yeah. That's better. That's honestly better than I would have done.
Is she looking to make more products? Because I'm ready to stop making products. Just give her my number.
You're not making foam things, too, are you?
No, not foam things.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. Well, we can talk. She loves repetitive tasks like an Excel spreadsheet. It's like, I don't know.
Excel spreadsheets are so awesome.
By the way, that's Joan DuKore.
The voice you're hearing right now, as we're recording over here, happens to be Joan DuKore.
Yeah.
So
no, it's okay.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. No, you just
we can edit. I can edit.
And you got here just in time.
We got about another 20 minutes to go.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I just thought you guys were talking.
Yeah.
No,
Damn
it just
it,
needs to
Joan.
be. If you walked in on that and thought this sounded natural, did this sound natural at all? Because this is.
That's how he talked.
That's true.
He
Yeah.
didn't say what he was doing up
Yeah,
here.
it's true. Joan and I have known each other for a while, but we met on LiveJournal, wasn't it?
LiveJournal.
Yeah, that's how old we are.
Snap doodah.
Yeah, did you see? There it is. Yeah.
That's my safe word. There we go.
But yeah, so escape rooms, which hopefully I want to go play one. There's one here in the area. We should go play it while we're here this weekend. Yeah. I like how now you're whispering. All right, that's fun.
Now I don't know what to do.
What, do you want a mic? We got another 20 minutes or so. Here, let me give you a mic.
Yeah, come on.
Get her a mic.
Yeah, join the party. This is
Right.
It's going to, it's magnetic, and put it like behind your little thing there.
just.
Wait, do we have to split the profit
Pull
three
over
ways
one of those
now?
chairs. Yeah,
How are
I'll-
we splitting this?
Hold on, there's a profit.
Well, what am I going to do with the other 2 quarters?
And pull over a chair so you can kind of comfortable.
I'll be taller than you guys.
Yeah, that's fine. Enjoy it.
While it lasts.
All right, just as we were saying, of course, that Joan DuKore happened to join us. You never know who's going to stop by to be on the microphone here at the Magic Word Podcast. And so this is a young lady who is working in Las Vegas and doing a lot of shows and corporate shows and all around. I've seen you all over on Facebook and every place that you've been doing, and working most recently in Washington, D.C., I believe it was, or was it? I've got now, of course, this is Joan DuKore. Hi, Joan.
Hi.
Welcome. Glad
I
you're
did
here.
my lecture in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And then before that, I did a weekend at Smoke and Mirrors. Because I'm like, if I'm coming out this way, well, my dad lives in D.C., so I try to do something out this way at least once a year. And then I was able to add Smoke and Mirrors onto the convention, so...
And then almost not make it.
And then almost not make it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's apparently really hard to travel on the East Coast.
Which is weird because the states are much smaller. You'd think it'd be easier.
I think it would. You cannot fly from Philadelphia to D.C.
What?
Pretty impossible.
That's weird.
And then-
you can drive that in 2 hours.
I
Like
should have rented rented a car and
Yeah.
Amtrak, which would have been fabulous had I not had any luggage. Everyone said the luggage would be no problem, but I have a really hard time bench pressing 50 pounds above my head, and so that was fun. Luckily, there was some 18-year-old strong, muscled guy that was like, "You need some help, man?"
And so you said, yes, I do.
Oh, I think I met him too. He was
joining us for dinner.
He was lovely.
And so I was going to ask you further, Cody, talking about cruise ships a little bit earlier. How long have you been working ships then? And was that, I wouldn't think that would be a natural progression for someone like us in Austin, Texas, kind of, being so far away from the water. I mean, is that something that you had like on your bucket list that you wanted to do and start working or what?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, I think until you get into it, you just don't know. I kind of thought even before I even thought about working cruise ships, when I was thinking about it or whatnot, I was thinking, well, I need to live somewhere like Florida. I need to live somewhere where the water is. You know, like there needs to be water in order for you to do this.
There's water in Galveston, kind of.
I've done the celebration at Galveston. Yeah. But the truth of the matter is, you can, and most cruise ship performers, now that I've learned over the past 8 or so, most cruise ship performers don't let you can live anywhere and do cruise
Absolutely.
ships. They will fly you anywhere, and that's all they're doing now is fly-ons. The days of living on a ship with an illusion show and all that. And honestly, I don't know who the hell would want to.
There are only a few people doing it. I guess Greg Gleason's still doing that. And,
Gleason's
Fred
still
Becker
doing it. Yeah. Fred Becker. Yeah.
All the old school guys.
Not a lot of people. I just wonder if you think that that's getting more and more away from the illusionists.
Definitely. Yeah. I know some guys who are living on ships, like doing some of the European stuff, who are living on there. But as far as like a lot of the U.S. stuff, I would say the vast majority we're just flying on. We're flying anywhere from probably the shortest contract, maybe 3 or 4 days. Typically a week or so, port to port.
Right.
You know.
Well, my cruise manager told me that if you would change and be a comedian, you can send me something that's just strictly comedy. I can get you booked on any of the ships.
Yeah.
It's like
the ships right now need
really
comedians. The ships need comedians. There's a big turnover rate.
Note to self.
For a comedian.
Learn to be funny.
Learn to be funny without props. It's kind of funny. A lot of the cruise ship agents who book variety acts, as we're called, they're like, hey, can you also just do comedy? And I was like, oh, let's leave the comedy to the professional comedian.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's not an easy thing to do. You know, I'm sure it's been like with you sometimes for corporate shows that we'll do, in which that they have had comedians in the past thinking they've been to a comedy club and it's going to be kind of funny, and so they come and they say, okay, well, tell us a little bit about your CEO or something in your company, and they start saying things that are really, if they're not off color, they're certainly off target. And the next year they say, we're not going to have a comedian again.
No.
We'd love to have a magician.
Yeah.
And so,
and you got to like...
And then vice versa.
Yeah. But I mean, especially with the comedy, it's really hard, like MSC Cruise Line. So you've never been to an MSC cruise. It's a shipping company. It's a very European cruise that's trying to appeal to an American market. The morning announcements on an MSC cruise are in 7 languages. When they introduce my comedy magic show, it gets introduced in 7 languages. I mean, honestly, listen, I'm barely funny in English. So to have to try to be funny.
Well, you're Texan.
A little bit in Spanish, though.
Maybe some Spanish, but it's,
Poquito.
So.
That was Spanish. Poquito.
Yeah. Un poquito, por favor. Sí.
Well, that's more than I know.
Joan, have you worked many cruise ships?
So I just did my first solo cruise, was it March? And then I have another one coming up in December.
You liked it?
I loved it. Okay. I had a great time. And I was on like the Seabourn, so it was like 80 years old and up, and that's perfect for me.
Retirement home on the sea.
Yeah.
It's crazy because you don't look 80. I mean, now that you're here, you look much younger. I didn't know that.
It's the lighting.
It's the cocoa butter. But I mean, I had my Mahjong cards ready.
But you could tell the jokes over and over for those people also, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can tell it's I always joke and say you can tell it's a locals casino in Vegas because it says free bingo card with every oxygen tank.
But my next one's actually going to be a much younger crowd because it's
more challenging.
Yeah.
70s.
You are funny. Okay, there we go.
I think we're going 40s.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
And what cruise line is it?
Margaritaville.
Margaritaville has their own cruise line?
Yeah. Oh, I think that's the name of the ship.
Oh,
and then the cruise.
Even weird. That's even weirder to have a ship named Margaritaville.
I'm not sure. I'm supposed to show up in Tampa. In December,
okay.
And then I think I'm on a need-to-know basis.
Now,
Just be
let her
there.
out of the cage. Did you do the Caribbean? What did you do on the cruise you did do?
So that was a really hard one, especially for my first one because it was a magic-themed cruise.
Oh.
The cruise started in Japan and it ended in Florida.
But you know how to speak Japanese.
I do, but
Which
I wasn't
people
on
would
that
not
leg.
suspect.
No,
No.
I can perform magic in Japanese, no
Wow.
problem.
Yeah.
So a little bit in Russian, a little bit in Spanish, but no, it was all English for these people. And I flew on to the cruise in Puerto Vallarta, and I got off in Costa Rica. But other magicians were already on the ship and were going to be on the ship, so my agent had me contact them so that there was no overlap. So now I'm doing my 2 different 45-minute shows, and we're subbing in some material. So that was fun.
Wow. And the shows that you were doing in Vegas, I remember you were doing the thing that was like the late night X-rated shows when I saw one time.
X-rated, that's a bit, okay, that's, hold on a second, hold on.
Wow.
But
That's a different show.
Might be X-rated for you.
that was what they,
You're right.
but I thought that was how that they advertised that.
No, it was an adult show. Definitely adult. We never said.
What was that called? It was like a late night show at 11 o'clock. It was over
so
at the
late night magic.
at the what was the name of the
Well, we were at Alexis Park originally.
Alexis, that was right.
Then we moved to the Orleans,
Yeah.
and now we just announced that we're going to be down on the Link Promenade in October.
Okay.
We're moving out. We're actually going to be on the Strip, suckers. But yeah, no, that show was like 4 to 5 of us depending on the night, and it was an adult magic show. I always told people, dick jokes and magic tricks. If you don't like any of that stuff, please don't come. We don't listen to you complain. That's all there is to it. And so, but we never really went that far, right? Like it would be R-rated at most.
I would
right?
say so.
For
I mean, it
sure.
wasn't- yeah.
We there's definitely shows that are way racier than what we're doing in that town.
Can we not talk about my birthday show?
Right? Yeah.
Can we not?
Listen, I know a girl who does things with squids you wouldn't believe, but that's neither here nor there. So, yeah. So but I grew up working bars and nightclubs. I love working adult rooms, right? Because you don't have to censor yourself as much. You can get away with a lot more. And when everybody's comfortable, when people are just there, like, oh, we don't have to pucker as much because of what somebody said, people really let loose. And we used to get a lot of older folks, a lot of like people are going to be on that cruise. We used to get a lot of people like that, and they loved the show because they remembered when comedy was a little Red Fox dangerous, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
when you could say some of this stuff, they're like, ha ha, that's funny.
I remember when we could say that.
Not necessarily for the audience.
Yeah, right, exactly. So yeah, but as I've said to many people, the real show was backstage with the jokes we couldn't say on stage.
That's funny.
That's your reality show that would get us
Who was
canceled.
it that would censor you then? Yourselves, obviously.
Oh, absolutely. We would censor ourselves because it's like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't call that old lady
What
that
you were
word
going
I'm not
to.
going to
Yeah.
say. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you get a bunch of adult children in one room together. It's like
Right.
Shocker, John Shaw, myself, Lefty, and some, depending on the night, Holly England or other people. It's like we're just being what most performers are, and that is giant kids making dirty jokes.
Didn't you also have Rosalie? Or
So Anna Rose
Anna
was
Rose.
in the original incarnation, and Mondre. They were in
Mondre,
the first
right.
version of it
Right.
over at Alexis Park.
Now they're overdoing another thing. It's for not the world's greatest magic. What that's called, the Masters of Magic or something.
Mondre
I think
Mondre is. Anna Rose was just in Edinburgh, Scotland, over at
Fringe?
The Fringe, working in a Spiegelworld show. She was over there there was a magic parody show they were doing, and she went over there to do that. So that was a lot of fun. And then right before that, she was at the Magic Castle hosting, and so it was, So she's doing well. She went off to do other things, and she's off doing other things. So yeah. I don't know if you haven't talked to her, you should. She's a lot of fun.
well, last time I spoke with her was with when I was with the lady who turned 100, who was the oldest magician.
Gloria Day. You were there for the Gloria Day thing.
Yeah,
yes,
no, I was
yes.
actually at her house. I mean, that
Yes.
she was the one who helped set up the conversation. So I went to her retirement
nice.
community, and she was trying to sell me her house. In fact,
Yeah, Gloria Day was an
Gloria
interesting
was,
lady. I met her a couple times, and she was still pretty with it, which I thought was great
She
for
was.
99 or 100.
She was amazing.
On a good day, she could remember her entire act and tell you how she preset it and everything. And I was like, good for you. I hope I'm not going to live that long, but I hope if I do.
I still need a list.
Yeah, right.
such an interesting lady. Whenever she was saying, well, she'd been in some movies, and one of the favorite directors was CB, and I said, Cecil B. DeMille? Oh yeah, CD.
Yeah.
You know, and what were you in? Well, I was in the Ten Commandments. What?
Yeah.
You know, she was
Which
playing
commandment
Mines
did
in
she
outer
play?
space.
I tell you which one she broke.
What have you got planned, Cody? What's coming up for you here shortly?
Oh, you mean for this convention?
No. I mean, you've got
Tomorrow I've got a lecture and a show, and
I mean, a lot of times, magicians more than anybody really plans in advance. We were talking about like we're going out and doing cruise ships. I mean, you got to do something next year, or whatever. And as far as really booking pretty far in advance, and some other people kind of live by the seat of their pants. I mean, we're in a fortunate situation, except for Biz. No, you got. Man.
I don't know my schedule, and usually until like a week before.
And then they call you and say, "Hey, we need you here."
Yeah. I've been called up like, "Hey, can you come to China in 2 weeks?" Sure, I guess so. Yeah, let's.
So it's going to be flexible in that way.
Yeah.
But
I've got my schedule planned as far as ships and stuff, probably up until December of next year, maybe even 2027 January or something. So yeah,
you make me sick.
No,
it's just no, good for you. Good for you. Good for you.
Well, I've got one kid in UT Business School. I got one kid about to start medical school. So you have to kind of have those bookings if you
they found out
keep
where
money
kids
coming
come
through.
from, right? They figured that out.
I figured out. We figured out what the cause was after the third one, we have remedied that situation.
Just took a while.
Yeah.
Maybe you should have thought about going to school.
I've almost got a PhD in biochemistry.
Almost.
I mastered out.
Missed it by that much.
That much, yeah.
Well, as we do close, I want to ask each of you then also, I mentioned earlier about what your magic word is, and what I mean by that is not necessarily like smapdoodle, but what is something that's important in your life? What is it that gives you joy? What is it that you wake up in the morning that's important?
Honestly, for me, it's just family. I got a very, very strong family, close to my family. Got three wonderful, fantastically wonderful children.
That's why none of them are here this weekend.
They're not here to support me for the interview, but but I'm sending all the money back home. Like, Dad, can you PayPal before you leave in case something happens to you?
Yeah.
No, I got three wonderful kiddos. I have known my wife since the third grade. Mm-hmm. I didn't date her back then. She had cooties. I was and if you laugh at that, Bizzaro, I know how old you are. That's how I tell that joke at my show, and that's what I follow because people don't cooties. No, but I've known my wife since the third grade. We started dating in high school. We're married after college. We got three kiddos. And family first. I think if you get that under control, I think everything the rest just kind of life just falls into place.
And for those of you listening, yes, it is possible to support a family on magic.
That's right. Yeah.
That's the book you need to write. How to live a quote normal life as a magician. Coupons.
I also sell Amway. So for the listeners out there, anybody listening, if you want to,
I know how old you are. Amway. Jesus.
It still exists.
It still exists.
I know.
I've met people. I've met people.
So if I say green stamps, does that mean anything to anybody?
Yes, it does. Yes.
Ron Popeil.
The books?
Anybody?
What's a stamp?
Exactly.
I know what a tramp stamp is.
That's what I meant to say. Oh, I'm too young to even know what
So
that
stamps
is.
are. It used to be the Walter Blaney's act when that volunteered to be seated. He would pull off some green stamps and said, "Here you are." Give it, kind of as a thank you for coming up on the stage. That's how far back all that goes. So, Joan, what about you? What would be a magic word for you?
I find joy in everything.
That's great.
I mean, not today, but
Not air travel, that's for sure.
most of the time I do find joy in air travel because, what a great time to just sit and read. I love to read.
Or
but
sleep
if
you're me.
At home, then I should be doing something else. Mm-hmm. But if I read at the airport, what else am I going to do there, right?
What kind of books do you enjoy?
So many. I like just...
mysteries or romance or
not
history?
Romance, but I like a little bit of
War stories?
sci-fi, more like speculative fiction.
Okay.
I like some fantasy. I like nonfiction about weird things.
Mm-hmm.
You
got to write a book about Biz.
I've got
autobiography.
I've got some books for you that you would enjoy. Yeah.
and then, of course, magic books. So I read a very wide range of things. And if I don't have a show that night and I'm delayed, I don't care.
It's great.
I mean, what a great excuse to spend some money for overpriced food at a restaurant. I had fabulous shrimp and grits at the airport today, at Atlanta Airport. It was wonderful.
Wow.
And if I wasn't stressing about making it for the show, I would have enjoyed it even more.
They almost had to put me in a dress to fill in for you.
I see this happen after two cruise ship gigs. Talk to me after like 10 years of cruise ship gigs. I don't think your whole thing of airports may change. I've got horror stories about airports.
I drive. If it's 5 hours or less, I drive. Or if I'm going up to Folsom, I drive. So I have a lot of that. And I don't do a lot of cruise ships, but I do fly a lot, just not to the ship. That was stressful. That was not a fun time going to the cruise ship because it was my first one, and then like the guy didn't have me on the list for the bus, and I'm freaking out.
Did you have to perform the same day? Did they give you a couple of days? Okay,
so I wasn't supposed to.
Yes, sometimes they do that too. Like, you get in like, and your show's tonight, so we need you to go directly to sound check. You're like, I just got here.
Yeah, I got to my room and I got the call, and they said one of the singers was sick or something, and they go, would you mind? I know you just got on the ship. Would you mind performing tonight? If you perform tonight, you only have to do one show. And I was like, that sounds amazing.
Sold.
And so,
Where do I sign up?
And then they ended up changing my schedule again. Something else happened, and I ended up doing the next show early, which meant I had the rest of the cruise.
You have the rest. Yeah, I know. It feels weird when you do that.
Except when the audience comes up and bugs you.
See, but I like talking to them. I had some delightful conversations.
You do now.
I was really bummed that nobody played Mahjong, even though I was prepared. No one showed up to the Mahjong time. I had a really great time. I mean, there's things that do get old, but
and not just the passengers.
Not just the passengers. Myself included.
Okay, Bizzaro.
For me, I would say freedom.
I thought you were going to say me.
Yeah.
It's because of his abs. I know you've been looking over here the whole time. So.
Yeah. I just want to draw a tic-tac-toe on him.
Are you looking at the same shirt?
No, the freedom to do what I want when I want is super nice. I remember the days of having to take gigs I didn't want to do, and now I can do the things I want to do and not do the things I have to do.
But don't you feel like you had to take those things to begin with to get to where you are now?
Absolutely, yeah. No, I made a post on one of my social media a few years ago where I said I miss the things that the people I hung out with and the things I did in my 20s, but not my place in the universe. In my 20s, my life sucked big time, but I miss those things, but I can still kind of do those things in whatever age I am now. I just have more money now. Mm-hmm. I'm not sleeping on somebody's couch. It's super nice.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, listen, sorry about the stain. Sorry, stains. But yeah, no,
you sweat a lot.
Yeah. I told you it's the fur. It's like a reverse werewolf. The full moon comes out, I like a dolphin. It's very strange. I don't know why I just said that. Sorry.
You mean you make strange noises?
Yeah, no. You don't want me to answer that. Yeah. As Harry Anderson would say, don't ask questions you don't want answers to. But yeah, freedom to do what I want. Somebody once said, hey, what's your normal schedule like? I said, normal schedule? That's not a thing. I
like what you've always said is normal is
just setting on a dryer.
There you go.
Yeah, you'll hear that tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Yeah.
Twice, because I'm going to use that line too.
My talking show's tomorrow, and then the silent act is the next night.
Oh, okay.
Well, you sound disappointed. What's that about?
That doesn't tell me when I'm performing.
Oh, you're going to be tomorrow then, probably. Okay. Yeah.
So thank you guys very much. I appreciate it very much for taking your time over here. It's gone by so very, very quickly, and I'm glad that we got a chance. Actually, I like the idea. I was originally going to be talking, for those of you who are listening, individually with both Cody and Bizzaro and with Joan. And I just thought this would be... Yeah. Glad you did it at the right time, certainly. That was a lot of fun.
Welcome to your intervention.
This was... I hope that you guys got a lot out of this. I certainly did.
And if you didn't, sorry.
That's right. If you'd like to hear more from any one of these people, then let me know, and then I will contact them then again, and we will speak just exclusively for a whole episode. But I think this was a lot of fun.
And if you want pictures of Cody's abs, go to his OnlyFans.
Yeah, fans only.
CodyFisherShowerCam.com.
I'm gonna buy.
Now,
I'm
before the
gonna.
subscription
Right.
goes
I'm gonna
in.
buy you that URL and just have it redirect to your real website.
Okay, before this gets spiraling down any further, let me say thank you very much. I appreciate it. That was Cody Fisher, Joan DuKore, and Bizzaro.
Thanks for having us, Scott. We
All
appreciate
right.
being here, man.
You bet, buddies.
It was awesome.
This is Scotty out. I want to thank my guests again for stopping by the Magic Word podcast microphone to share some of their experiences and their laughter and their conversation. I hope that you enjoyed that as much as I did. That was just a fun episode as it turned out, with everybody joining in, and it was wonderful. Anyhow, again, looking forward to more of these kinds of conversations as we go into the future. We're rapidly approaching our number 950th episode, and that's going to be a doozy. I've got somebody who I have spoken with earlier this year that I've got in the can and ready to go. And every 50th, I like to have a milestone episode. And this one certainly is going to be another great milestone episode as we continue our journey towards 1,000 episodes. Wow. And I'm going into my, what will this be, the 15th year here soon. So goodness. And I thank you for going along with me on this journey. Well, we have had just a great episode here, and I'm going to wrap this up by just saying we'll be back next week. And so until then, stay well, get booked, and remember these three things. Find joy in everything. Also, life will fall into place if you focus on family first. And make time for freedom to do what you want to do. This is Scotty out.